first I'll give you a basic idea about what is mutual funds. The in-depth theory about types of mutual funds and importance, advantages, those things I'll share with you all later on. So you can check from there, and if at all you have any doubts, you can get back to me. Uh, I'll be focusing more onto the practical aspects of mutual funds, which are more necessary in nature. But otherwise, a few things here and there, I'll discuss about it. So when it comes to mutual funds, the basic concept of what we have to understand is what is mutual funds basically. Mutual funds are nothing but where a large group of people, I repeat, a large group of people come together. They pull in all their resources, that is money, towards a common goal of investment. Yes, I request you to kindly mute yourself. Thank you so much. I repeat, a mutual fund is is a place, or a uh, mutual fund company or mutual fund owner. Okay, on that you place a trust wherein a large group of people, they pull in all their resources, that is money, towards a common investment objective. Now, your objective is to create wealth over a period of 20 years. My objective of investment is to earn quick returns for a period of 1 year. Okay, so this is not a common objective. Your objective is to be invested for 20 years. My objective is to invest for 1 year. That is the reason why we have various different mutual fund schemes. The basic concept is, in a particular mutual fund scheme, large group of people pull in their resources with a common objective of investment. Now, why is it necessary that a large group of people will come in to pull in the resources? If it is you, if it is me, small people, and we would like to invest, okay, when we go to the market and we see that we need to invest into equity shares of a particular company, say for example we need to invest into shares of MRF, Madras Rubber Factory. Can somebody tell me what is the share price of MRF share? You can google up and tell me. What is the share price of MRF?
81,000.
How much?
81,000.
Okay. So can you just repeat once more precisely so that the whole class listens to you perfectly?
Yes, sir. It's 81,001.
Okay.
Then
Sushant,
right.
yes. So Sushant, what you are speaking is 81 comma triple zero. Is that correct?
So
Yes. So class C, if you want to buy one equity share of MRF Limited, you will have to pay 81,000 rupees. Now, is it something where you and me, or maybe a common person, can buy the shares of MRF Limited? No, it becomes very difficult for us to buy. We may have to, accumulate money for 1 full year, and then we could buy one share. But in that case, say for example, the whole class, that is 80 people coming together, they pull in 1,000 rupees per head. Now, can I say it is easy for you to buy one share of uh, uh, MRF Limited, wherein you get the exposure to that equity share as per your own contribution. So any profits out of that investment will be distributed proportionately amongst you based on what you have invested. When 80 people come together, it becomes easy for you to buy one share of MRF Limited. But one person wants to buy MRF Limited share, it becomes difficult. So that is the point which I'm making, is that when you want to have exposure to good companies, a set of good companies, it becomes difficult for you to buy. Okay, one thing. Second thing is, say for example, you are from the commerce background, okay, you know what is accounts, what is financial management, how to invest, etc. You know, so you can go to equity market, your stock market, and you can buy shares based on your analysis. But say for example, you are a doctor, or say for example, you are an engineer. For that person, what is debit, what is credit, no one knows about it. Cash flow, he doesn't understand what is cash flow. When you say debt equity, वो बोलेगा भाई ये कौन से जमाने का बात कर रहा है, कौन सी चीज का बात कर रहा है, right? But this things what I was talking, cash flow, debt equity, is very very important and very basic thing for investing into any type of investment, may it be equity shares, may it be mutual fund, etc. So where people do not have knowledge, then can I say that you need to appoint a professional person. So a professional is appointed by the mutual fund company to look after the funds which the company has accumulated out of many people. And that professional person is known as fund manager. A fund manager is a person who is a knowledgeable and professional. He has done work of handling money of people. So he will analyze various things. He will take into consideration the objective of investment by you. Okay, so you all have an objective of investing for 20 years. So he will keep in mind those things. He will choose particular companies which are good, and he will invest. So this is a mutual fund. Mutual fund is nothing but group of people coming together. Those disadvantages which a common individual had for investing into equity shares personally are now no more through mutual funds. So when you say mutual funds, you may have various types of mutual funds. Say for example, you have open-ended schemes, you have closed-ended schemes. Now, what is open-ended? Open-ended scheme is something where you can enter into the scheme, you pay, enter into the scheme, and you can move out at any point of time. That is open-ended. जब भी जाना है जाओ, जब भी आना है आओ, निकल के आओ. Okay, next is closed-ended scheme. Closed-ended scheme is something where there is some type of restrictions in the investment. That means you have to invest in, say for example, this 5 days, and the money will be kept invested for a period which is defined. Say for example, 2 years. You cannot move out before 2 years. That is closed-ended. Open-ended, जब भी आना है आओ, जब भी जाना है जाओ. Closed-ended, ये टाइम पे आने का और ये टाइम पे जाने का. Then based on portfolio classification, like where it is invested, you can say you have equity funds where everything, all the money is invested in equity shares of various companies. You have debt funds, that means the money is invested into fixed deposits of companies, or maybe debentures of governments, bonds of governments, etc., etc. Also based on motive, you can have funds. Say for example, growth fund, you have income fund, you have balanced fund, you have aggressive fund. Okay, so based on the objectives, the funds can be selected. You have blue chip fund, you have small cap fund, you have mid cap fund. Now what is small cap, mid cap, what is index fund? Okay, now blue chip is something where SEBI every 6 months comes out with a guideline saying that this 100 companies are top 100 companies, then next 2000 companies, next 5000 companies. That means they come up with a list and they categorize this company as blue chip top 100, or maybe mid cap, small cap, micro cap. Okay, they define that this company is small cap, this company is mid cap, this company is in top 100, this company is in top 500. They come up with that list. So based on that, if you wish, say for example, you are aggressive in nature, you want to take up more risk, then can I say that in that case, when you want to take up more risk, you will say that okay, I'll go and invest in small companies which will become more big in size over a period of time, and I can earn more. A big company can give you consistent returns over a period of time, but when you want to multiply your money, that means 1,000 rupees becomes 20,000 rupees. Okay, investing into small companies is important, but small companies, which companies, there are so many companies to invest, which company to invest, whether that company is good, whether it is bad, at what price you should buy these shares. Those decisions becomes difficult. So the money is handed over through a mutual fund company to fund manager. He will decide which company to invest and the investment will be done. So when I say I have a mid cap fund, that means the investment will be done in mid cap companies. If I say that I have a large cap fund, that means the investment will be done in large capital companies, and so on. There are various hundred types of companies. Now there are many mutual fund companies as well, various types of schemes and mutual fund company. So when I say that okay, I want to invest into mid cap fund, okay, when you come and you ask me, sir, should I invest into mid cap fund? I'll ask you which company you are going for, which mutual fund company. Or if you say that, sir, should I invest in HDFC fund? Now, when I say HDFC fund, that means there are many schemes by HDFC. How can I tell you something? So you will have to be specific when you choose something or you ask. You have to be specific, saying that of this mutual fund company, I want to buy this particular fund. Then whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether it is matching your objective, that all things can be analyzed. So when you ask a question to any of a person that should I invest in SBI blue chip fund, then the whole name is given. SBI, that is the mutual fund company. Blue chip, that is the blue chip fund, that is the scheme name. So always make sure that when you are analyzing, when you are talking, when you are discussing with people or asking for some type of any there are various types of schemes and we should evaluate. Okay, so for evaluation, you are selling it on 10th of December. So how much is your return for your holding period? 1st August to 10th December. That is holding period return. Nothing. Okay. So I hope you all are able to see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. 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 Would you like to see on the black background or white background? Check this. Is this good? Or would you like to go for white background? White is better?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's continue with, yeah. Somebody speaking. Let's go ahead with HPR holding period return. Okay. I'll write down the formula. I think this is not supporting. No, guys, this is. Are you all able to see some white screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Copy this formula. HPR, that is holding period return, is equal to bracket open. In the numerator we have NAVT minus NAVT minus 1 bracket close plus I plus G the whole divided by NAVT minus 1. Now what is NAV? What is NAVT minus 1 and so on? Let's see. Okay, so NAVT minus
Sir?
1. Yes,
Sir, are you writing in the whiteboard now?
yes.
It's not visible to me.
What about others?
It is visible, sir.
Visible.
Sir,
If you can rejoin.
Okay, sir.
Okay, first I'll write down HPR, that is holding period return. NAVT, NAV is net asset value. Now what is net asset value? Okay, now for every investment what you do, you should have some type of base saying that you hold an investment. So like when you invest in a company you get equity shares, so when you invest in a mutual fund you get units. and the value of unit is known as net asset value. The value of that unit on a particular day is known as NAV. NAV is net asset value. Now the name itself, net asset value, indicates that the asset value of the unit on net basis of that particular day is some value, say for example 25. So when I say net asset value, that value means total assets minus total liabilities, whatever is the value divided by total number of units. Total assets minus total liabilities, the amount what you get, divided by total number of units, that is a net asset value of a unit. Now NAVT is NAV, net asset value at time period T, and NAV T minus 1 is net asset value at time period T minus 1. T minus 1. Now what does this T indicate? T indicates time period end, and time T minus 1 is time period at start. So when you have started with the investment, your purchase price of the NAV is at the start, that is T minus 1, and when you sell your units, that is net asset value at time period T, that is at end. So I would say NAVT is net asset value at the time of selling, and NAVT minus 1 is net asset value at the time of buying. Is this understood? Any doubts over here?
No, sir. No doubt.
We have two more things to look into picture when it comes to the formula, that is I and G. I and G. I is income and G is capital gains. Now the income distribution done or capital gains distribution done during the holding period will come over here. So that is the reason why I have written for the both. I is income and G is capital gains. So if there is any capital gains distribution done by the mutual fund company to the unit holders, then that is known as G. And if there is any income distribution done by the mutual fund company, that is known as income. Now what is income and what is capital gains for mutual fund company? Mutual fund company has invested in shares of many companies. Those companies declare dividend, so the mutual fund company will get the dividend because they have those investments, and that dividend which is received by the mutual fund company is then distributed to the unit holders of mutual fund company. Then that is known as income distribution. And capital gains distribution is nothing but they purchase shares at 100, they sold at 120. So 20 rupees is the capital gains what they have done, and that capital gains, if distributed by the mutual fund company to the units of mutual fund holders, then that is capital gains distribution. Any doubts, queries, questions over here? NAVT, NAVT minus 1, I, G. I hope you all have copied. Shall I go ahead? I did not get any responses. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's solve few questions on holding period returns. Then we'll go ahead for other performance evaluation measures. As of now, we'll solve questions on holding period returns. Second. Can you see the whiteboard now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
A mutual fund, with NAV of rupees 20 at the start of month made income distribution of rupees 2 and capital gain distribution of rupee 1 during the month. At the end of the month, the NAV was rupees 19. Calculate HPR. I hope everybody is able to see the screen as normal. Yeah, thank you so much. We need to start with the HPR calculation, and as per HPR formula, HPR is equal to NAV T minus NAV T minus 1. That is NAV at the end minus NAV at the start plus income plus capital gains divided by NAV T minus 1. Is this formula correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's substitute.
Yes,
How
sir.
much is the NAV at the end? At the end, how much is the NAV? 19.
19.
At the start, 20. Plus income distribution of 2 rupees. Plus capital gains of 1 rupee. Divided by NAV at the start, 20. Can I say it is minus 1 plus 2 plus 1 divided by 20? Which is 2 by 20. That is कितना आएगा?
0.1.
0.1.
Which is as good as 10%.
10. Yes, sir.
Easy, simple HPR calculations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Write down next question. A mutual fund company in its blue chip scheme has NAV of rupees 16 at start of year and rupees 32 at end of year. During the year, 3 rupees were distributed as income and capital gain distribution. Calculate HPR. Can you do it? HPR is equal to NAV T, that is NAV at the end, minus NAV at the start, plus income plus capital gains, the whole divided by NAV at the start, that is P minus 1. At the start, NAV is 16, at the end, NAV is 32, and income and capital gain is given to you as total 3 rupees. So that's fine, not an issue. So can I say it will be 32 minus 16 plus 3, the whole divided by 16, which is 16 plus 3 divided by 16, that is 19 by 16. What answer do you get?
$1.1875.
And if I were to convert into percentage, yes, 118.75%.
Yes, sir.
Did everyone get this?
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead. I hope I am at your speed, I am not running. Write down a question. It's a little bit longer question. An investor purchased 300 units of a mutual fund at rupees 12.25 per unit on 1st April 2019. As on 31st March 2020, rupees 1.25 and rupees 2 were distributed to the investor as income and capital gains number 1. Calculate his return if NAV on 31st March 20 was rupees 12. Number 2, calculate his return if all the dividends and capital gain distribution are reinvested into same scheme at rupees 12.50 per unit. Let me know once it is copied at your end.
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
Okay, so in this question, if you see, we have two parts. One is we need to find out our returns. We have been given opening NAV, closing NAV, and income and capital gain distribution. So we can find out HPR. Okay, second part is there. Let us first complete the first part and then I'll explain you the second part, what it is. So the first part, we need to find out HPR. HPR, holding period return, is equal to NAV at the end minus NAV at the start plus income plus capital gains, the whole divided by NAV at the start. Help me out in substituting the data. How much is the NAV at the end? How much is the NAV at the end?
12 rupees.
12. How much is at the start?
12.25.
12.25. How much is the capital gain distribution done? Income and capital gain distribution?
1.25 and 2 rupees.
The calculations are pretty easy.
0.2449.
That is
24.49%.
now everybody please listen. What is the second part asking us? Calculate his returns if all the dividend and capital gain, that means whatever amount he is getting during the year, that is 1.25 rupee per unit and 2 rupees, both are reinvested into the scheme, that is reinvestment category. Now listen carefully. You are an investor who feels that you will keep invested in a particular scheme for 20 years and you do not require any money from that scheme for 20 years. I am an investor who wants to keep invested my initial amount for 20 years, but every year the income and capital gains I want it in my bank account. Okay, so whenever you have a scheme where dividends are distributed, okay, you have an option. Either the dividend will be paid out or either the dividends will be reinvested. So second part is of the category reinvestment. That means the mutual fund will think as if the distributed amount, what it has in its hands, is not to be paid to the investor, but it has to be reinvested. That means that money will come back to the mutual fund and new additional units will be purchased and given to that investor. Is that understood first? So how do we calculate this? Check this out. How do we calculate this? I would require some help from you all in regards to figures, because I will not have those figures. Okay, the investor had how many units at the start?
300.
300.
Okay, at the start he had 300 units. During the year, how much money is distributed in name of income and capital gains both?
1.25 and rupees 2.
That is 3.25 is distributed. So during the year he must have got 3.25 into 300. That is how much? Can somebody tell me?
975.
Correct. He got 975 rupees. Okay. Now if it is payout, that means the mutual fund company has to pay. The mutual fund company will pay 975 rupees. But if it is reinvestment option, then the mutual fund company will treat that this 975 rupees is invested back by the investor in the mutual fund, and the average rate will be given. How much is the average rate given? In the question, if you see second part, there must be one rate given. 12.5. So the mutual fund company, okay, mutual fund company will invest this 975 rupees at the rate 12.50 to get how many units? Check. 9.975 divided by 12.5. 78 units.
78.
Yes. So at the start he had 300 units. During the year he got 78 units. So totally at the end he has 378 units. Did you get this calculation? Any doubts over here? You are not supposed to write. I'll give you everything in writing later on. Did you understand this? Yes. Let's go ahead. Okay. At the start, the value of mutual fund, okay, the value of mutual fund was, that is NAV was 12.25. So can I say he has bought 300 units at the rate 12.25? That means he must have invested 3675 rupees?
Yes.
Okay. At the end, okay, this is start. At the end, he has 378 units. And how much is the value of units? Check in the first part of the question. NAV of
12.
12. Okay. So he has 378 units and his NAV is 12. So his value of investment is 4536.
Yes.
So at the start he invested 3675. At the end he has 4536. So how much is his gain? Calculate 4536 minus 3675. So he has a gain of 861. He has
Yes, sir.
invested 3675 and he has got a gain of 861. So if I want to find out gain percentage, can I say it will be 861 divided by 3675 into 100?
$23.4286.
Understood? Any doubts? Now how to write, what all to write, I'll explain you. Let's write down the solution. Okay, so this was the brief calculation to explain you. Now we'll write down step by step whole solution. Okay. First we'll start with amount invested, which is 300 units into 12.25 NAV, which is equal to rupees 3675. Income and capital gain distribution, which is 300 units into, can I say it is 1.25 plus 2, right? Which is 300 into 3.25 is equal to 975 rupees. Additional units is equal to 975 divided by 12.5, that is 78 units. Total units at the end is equal to 300 units plus 78 units, that is 378 units. Value of units at the end, 378 into 12 rupees, which is
4536.
4536. gain percentage is equal to value at end minus amount invested, the whole divided by amount invested into 100. 4536 minus 3675 divided by 3675. $861 divided by 3675 into 100, which is nothing but 23.4286%. Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Did you all understand the question? Did you all understand how to solve?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shankar purchased 200 units of a mutual fund at rupees 45 per unit. During the year, he received 3 rupees from mutual fund company as income distribution. Required, number 1, calculate his return if NAV at end is rupees 48. Number 2, calculate his return if income distribution is reinvested at rupees 40 and NAV at end is rupees 48. Can you all do this? Can you all do this? First is to find out HPR, second is to find out his return if it is reinvested. Try on your own. If you have any doubt, please unmute and ask me. How much is the HPR?
$13.33.
Okay. What if the amount is reinvested? What returns do you get?
%14.67%.
Okay. What about others?
14.67, same, sir.
Yes. Any doubts, any questions, any queries? We'll start with the next part of mutual funds next time. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you understood the concept of HPR and the calculations of HPR. If at all you have doubts, unmute yourself and speak up. I have taken up attendance. Those who wish to leave can leave. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.